But what I keep waiting for the Chiefs offense is their pass game to have some kind of rhythmic feel to it, where the pass game is not about Mahomes being Mahomes.
You're tuned in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Guiding your gridiron journey, none other than your host, former NFL lineman, Ross Tucker.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it's not just any Ross Tucker Football Podcast. It's a Finish Strong Friday. Although, actually, we do have the Saturday sit-down every week, so we're not necessarily finishing strong, but it's for you guys. It's for you guys to finish the work week strong so you feel good about it all weekend long while you're watching, hopefully, high school football tonight, college football Saturday, NFL football on Sunday. But it starts with finishing the work week strong for each and every one of you. It's also Greg Cosell Part 2. So there's a lot of games to get to with Greg, including the Sunday Nighter, the Monday Nighters, a bunch to talk about, Ravens, Chiefs. We'll get to all of that with Greg Cosell momentarily. And then after Greg, that Thursday night game was epic. It went from kind of being a snooze fest to all of a sudden Kyler Murray and the Cardinals got hot and made it absolutely fantastic. Very much looking forward to giving you my takeaways from that game. So make sure you're listening to the end. But first, it's Big Show time with our guy, Greg Cosell. He's presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours.
The Big Show.
All right, Greg, let's dive into this week 4 games, the second half of the slate. Man, there's some juicy matchups.
There are.
I want to start with the Colts and the Rams. There's a lot to get to. I'll just say this, Greg. Having done the Colts-Titans last week for CBS, Colts offensive line's playing really well. Michael Pittman's playing well. They love Tyler Warren. Jonathan Taylor's probably the best back in the league right now. He's been phenomenal. Daniel Jones is operating that offense. I mean, that's like the whole offense. Downs gives them stuff. They can take deep shots and intermediate to Pierce. They can take deep shots to A.D. Mitchell. I mean, they have a really, really good thing going on offense right now.
How about Warren as a lead blocker from the offset fullback position, huh? On that
You like
Taylor
that? I was glad I got that on the telestrator on the broadcast when I saw that.
And you know what was amazing to me on that, and you did the game, so you know what I'm talking about, is he actually had to alter his path, which, he's not a fullback. That's not something he's probably used to doing because the DN slanted inside. So his initial path got taken away. So he had to alter his path to get up to Barton. So, I mean, to think about a guy who's not used to doing that, I thought that was really impressive. But anyway.
You know where I think he gets value out of that? First of all, he was a high school quarterback.
Right.
And they ran the ball a lot, almost like Wildcat. So he's had that ability to have to see blocking and stunts unfold from depth. Plus, Penn State used him in that way a few times last year. So that's a great point, Greg. I think when people think fullback, it's just how hard the guy hits and how physical is. A big part of fullback is, did you run the ball in high school or earlier in your career to the point where you can see how a front unfolds and be able to get to that second level defender around everything that's unfolding in front of you.
That's a great point because when the ball's snapped, gaps change. There's gap fluidity. You can't necessarily just go where the play's designed, when you're walking through in the hotel room the night before. Things change. I will say this, Daniel Jones, and, people always talk about, quote unquote, the great quarterbacks, the playmakers, the Allens, the Mahomes, the Lamars. And no question, they're phenomenal. But, 95% of the quarterbacks in the league are distributors and executors. And that's what Jones is doing right now at a really high level. They have short and intermediate route concepts, his decision-making, balls out on time. They've got zone beaters. He's making great location throws. They're using play action and play action boot. He moves when necessary. He's just right now executing at a really high level in what I believe, based on watching tape, is a really well-schemed and well-designed offense. Just think back. I'm sure in your research for the game, because you did that game last week, you saw the week before against Denver that they had Warren in an offset fullback position, and he worked through the line off run action and basically ran a crosser in what was just a creative way to get to a post-cross combination. Things like that Shane Steichen is doing, to me, are just so good.
Yeah, and you know what else I'll say, Greg? I think this needs to be noted. Twice, the Titans should have had Daniel Jones for sacks.
Oh, that 17-yard run. I mean, if you're Denard Wilson, there's probably a few creative curse words at that moment.
Yeah, I hate this term, but I don't know how to describe it, but it's like, you know it when you see it. He is more athletic than he looks or than you think he is. You know, it's
right.
Almost like when he's doing the regular offense, he kind of looks like Peyton Manning, but then when he needs it, he has more athleticism than you realize, and made a couple of critical plays with his legs. He turned negatives into positives.
He just took one shot you don't want him to take down near the goal line.
I said it during the game.
Yeah.
That's the issue with him. He's not going to make it through the season if he keeps taking shots.
Just don't want to do that. At least on the 17-yarder, I think he didn't take a shot. But down near the goal line, you just don't want to take that shot.
No, and I think Steichen's just going to not have to – he's just going to not call zone reads because Daniel Jones, that's always been an issue with him, is he doesn't know when to say when. He doesn't know when to get down. Meanwhile, I'm curious, Greg, the other side, the Rams, whether it's their offense or defense, you know, obviously they blew that game and that lead against the Eagles.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on the Rams?
I thought that Stafford had one of those games. He wasn't very good in this game. He missed 4 or 5 just routine throws that he can probably make in his sleep. And I always remember Ron Jaworski, who I worked with for years, and you obviously know Jaws well. He would always tell me that there were 2 games a year that you just miss throws. Like there's no rhyme or reason to it. It happens. And Stafford just missed throws in that game. But I got to tell you, I thought the Rams defense played really well. The concern for them is on their back end at the corner position. Witherspoon is out, I believe. That's where the struggle is, and that's what the struggle was against the Eagles last week in that second half. And that's the concern. But I think that they're down 4 is really good. And I know Fisk is fighting an oblique injury, so his snaps were somewhat limited. But I think it's a really good front that's playing well. But it's just the back end that's a little bit of a concern. And just one name that probably no one knows about is a really good football player is Quentin Lake. He's a really good player on that Rams defense.
You know how you know somebody's a really good player, Greg? And I mean this in all sincerity. When the D coordinator uses the guy in like 3 different positions.
Well, that's Lake.
Yeah. They don't do that with guys that are bad. They don't do that with guys. Hey, this guy's not good. Let's use him as a middle of the field safety. Let's use him as a nickel. Let's put him outside of time.
Right.
No. They don't do that if they don't think the guy can really play.
There's a couple of guys in the league like that. You know who's like that too? Shamari Connor for the Chiefs. He's another guy just like that. There, that is used in multiple ways.
Yep. Well, speaking of the Chiefs, they're taking on the Baltimore Ravens, and hard to believe both these teams are 1-2, and one of them is going to be 1-3.
That's crazy, isn't it? One of those teams is going to be 1-3.
Yeah, that's why we play the games. Obviously the Ravens defense I thought was very disappointing. I said on yesterday's show, Greg, John Harbaugh doesn't sound real good for Nnamdi Madubuike. And, the reality is, there aren't very many teams that are going really that far without their best D lineman. I hate to say it, but whether it's Nick Bosa in San Francisco or Madubuike with the Ravens, I personally think it's the second most important position after quarterback. And if you lose your best guy on the defensive front, that's tough.
Yeah, the other factor, too, is when they choose to be aggressive. I mean, Jared Goff, and I think he's a terrific player, but he's a pocket quarterback. And they rushed 5 or more on 13 of Goff's 29 dropbacks. They didn't get a sack. I mean, that's, that normally you think of the Ravens as a team that's going to get sacks. The other issue not an issue, but I found it very interesting, in watching them through these three games, the rookie linebacker from Cal, Teddy Buchanan, has clearly beat out Trenton Simpson, the Clemson player they drafted, I think, in the second round a couple of years ago. Simpson did not play one snap on defense. So, obviously they believe Buchanan is the better player. That's obvious. He plays. But, that is really surprising to me because of where Simpson came from and where he was drafted. But Van Noy's out as well. And I got to tell you, Van Noy's just one of those guys. He is a really, really, really good player. And with Matabuke and Van Noy out, their D-line, they're playing a lot of guys now that they don't want to play that many snaps.
What else jumps out to you in their matchup against the Chiefs, who probably still didn't look great, Greg, but they got a win against the Giants on Sunday night? All of a sudden, their number one receiver is Tyquan Thornton, of all people.
I know. I did him coming out of Baylor. I kind of like Tyquan Thornton. I thought he was a little more than just a vertical guy. He's going to get an opportunity now. Although I guess Worthy's supposed to be back this week. We'll see. Obviously, Rice is not yet back. What I keep looking for with the Chiefs, because we've seen it, obviously, with Patrick Mahomes in the past, is I keep waiting, and all I'm doing is reacting to the tape, Ross. This is not, people are going to hear this and think, oh, you're an idiot, Patrick Mahomes. This is not a discussion about Patrick Mahomes. But what I keep waiting for the Chiefs offense is their pass game to have some kind of rhythmic feel to it, where the pass game is not about Mahomes being Mahomes, running around making plays, which he's as capable of as any quarterback in the league, or scrambling, which he's been doing more this year through the early part of the season than we've seen him do before, other than when he gets to the playoffs, when it becomes a necessity at times. But there's just not any kind of timing and rhythmic feel to their pass game. And you can always say the receivers aren't great, but I guess based on the people that have taught me pass offense over the years, people a lot smarter than I am, I think you can still create rhythmic throws with your route concepts, and it's not there on tape right now.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't. That's a question I can't answer. I don't think anybody would say that Andy Reid's not good at doing that. Obviously he's got a very long track record. He's going to be a Hall of Fame coach. So I can't answer that question. All I'm telling you is what's on the tape. It's not there right now.
Well, I want to know what's on the tape from Caleb Williams last week, because statistically, it was obviously the best game of his career. Right. He's the offensive player of the week in the NFC, played very well against that Cowboys defense. Now he's got a chance to kind of stack them going against the Raiders, who have really struggled. What did you see from Caleb and the Bears offense, Greg?
I'll tell you this. To me, the litmus test, when you're watching the Bears, here's a good way to judge, in my view, based on Ben Johnson, because, again, it's Ben Johnson's offense. We know what that looks like from years with the Lions. If you start seeing Caleb Williams making good throws with timing, with a sense of rhythm, between the numbers at the intermediate levels, then you know that this offense is starting to work the way it's supposed to, and that Williams is starting to understand the route concepts, the route combinations, and when to throw the ball. For instance, he hit Luther Burden, I think it was late in the second quarter, on a 29-yarder. That's a play, if you look at it, that's a route concept and combination that's very Ben Johnson-ish. And if you start to see those kinds of throws more and more, Ross, that means that Williams is better acclimating to what Ben Johnson expects from this offense.
Ooh, I like that. I don't want to say it's homework, but I like having something, in these games to kind of look at and keep our eye on.
Just think of Jared Goff throwing the ball between the numbers. He's the best quarterback in the league doing that. That's the Ben Johnson offense at the intermediate. How many times does he hit St. Brown on a dig? Or when Tim Patrick was there, how many times did he hit him on a dig? That's even Jamison Williams. That's kind of the foundation of this offense. And if you start seeing that with Caleb Williams, you'll just know that it's starting to work.
The other side of it, Greg, the Raiders, I don't know what's going on there.
I don't either.
I'm a little disappointed. They can't run it at all.
No.
The O-line is struggling to protect Geno. Defensively, they haven't been very good. especially after the week 1 win, but just coming into it, Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly, I had higher expectations for them.
Yeah, you would know more about this than I, but I don't think the O-line has been very good through 3 games. Genti has really not had much room at all, and it's no knock on Genti. I know the numbers are poor, and again, I didn't look up his numbers to see what his yards, before contact are, but I guarantee that he's getting hit either in the backfield or at the line of scrimmage. There's no room for him at all, and they need it. Look, I think we both like Geno Smith. The guy's persevered. He's a quality NFL quarterback now. But, just like 99% of quarterbacks, he needs a complete offense. He needs the run game. You do not want Geno Smith dropping back as a foundation of your offense 40 to 45 times every week.
Definitely not. What about, Greg, the Packers and the Cowboys? It's Sunday Night Football. Obviously, a lot of the conversation will be about Micah Parsons coming back to Dallas. The Cowboys will be without CeeDee Lamb, without Tyler Booker. Obviously, they're really struggling on defense without Micah Parsons, who now plays for the Packers. But the Packers, what happened to them against the Browns, Greg?
Well, they played against a great defense. I mean, that happens in this league. And Love threw a really poor interception late in the game. They had a very good chance to win that game if he doesn't make that pick. That was just a really bad decision and bad throw. That happens. But I will say this about the Cowboys. Defensively, they're a totally different team than we've seen over the last number of years. I mean, they have played the second lowest percentage of cover one, which is man coverage with a single high safety, in the NFL. The second lowest percentage. They are a zone team. Now, it's Matt Eberflus is the coordinator. I don't know if he's doing this because he wants to protect his corners. Obviously, Bland is out. Diggs is just coming back from an injury. The problem with playing so much zone is Ka'ir Elam is not a good zone corner. So, again, I'm not questioning Matt Eberflus. He certainly knows his players better than I do. I'm just making the point of what the film shows, that they have been high percentage zone. And so far, with the inability to rush the quarterback with any kind of consistency, and then playing so much zone, zones, as you know, Ross, zones are meant to work up to 5-step drop timing, which is 2.1 seconds. Once you get beyond 2.1 seconds with the quarterback, you can't really cover on the back end if you're playing zone, because there's voids and there's soft spots. So if you're going to play this much zone and you can't rush the quarterback, you're going to have problems with your pass defense.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Greg, I'd probably say the same with man. Right? I mean, the longer the longer you go with man, the harder it is for guys to cover him too. But your point's well taken.
But at least with man, theoretically, you're close to a guy. I mean,
Right. All right, let's get to your thoughts on the 2 Monday Night Football games. Not the greatest Monday Night Football games in terms of matchups, but obviously the NFL film show that you do is on ESPN. It's the 2 games they have. And we got lots of Jets fans, lots of Dolphins fans that listen to the show or watch on YouTube, youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. So Jets, Dolphins, blank canvas, Greg. What do you got?
I think the Dolphins, to me, obviously are the more intriguing team because there's so much talk about Tua Tagovailoa. And, we've talked about him so many times. I even went back and I looked at my notes when I evaluated him coming out of Alabama. And in some ways, he's exactly what I thought he would be. He's a pure timing and rhythm player. And it's the only way he can play. And I think that what happens is there'll be games where that works phenomenally well and it just looks easy and he looks super efficient. And then there are games where, for whatever reason, the defense may be having a good beat on him, maybe a better sense of the route concepts. Often that happens in the division, like with a team like Buffalo, and they just have a feel for where the ball's going to go. And if he can't make that timing and rhythm throw, there's really not much else he can do, Ross. So a quarterback like that, they need the run game to be big time, which it has not been this year. And in fact, they've not even run the ball with volume, which surprises me given Mike McDaniel's background. So he needs the run game to be a big deal in the offense, really to be the foundation. So because they need to be able to dictate how the defense plays so they know when they can get those windows. Because if he doesn't have windows, he really can't play.
Now, it was interesting in that Buffalo game. It was either like they went 3 and out or they had a nice long drive.
I know.
He obviously had a couple of critical errors in the game.
Well,
He converted a lot of third downs.
Yeah, that interception at the end, of course, was talked about, over and over and over again. And, it was a classic case where the Bills just rotated their coverage, right at the snap of the ball. And he never picked up the coverage rotation. He thought when he was throwing that snag or spot route to Waddle, he clearly believed he had that throw no problem. He didn't think Bernard was going to be there.
Yep. All right, the other one, it's the Bengals and the Broncos. The Broncos are 1-2, obviously 2 devastating losses the way it went down in Indy and out in LA against the Chargers. And the Bengals, I don't think anybody thought that they would get smoked like they got smoked by the Vikings, but it happened. What intrigues you about this one, Greg?
Well, Denver I still think is a really good football team. And again, I don't know, who knows? You can't predict who's going to win and lose games, but I think Denver's defense is still a solid group, and I think they'll continue to play better. I think the offense has been a little inconsistent. Nick's has been the same. And, I think they're probably working through some things right now. The run game element, is kind of there, but I think they'll want to get more out of it. So, we'll see. I expect them to play better as the year goes on. I think that Nix is a good player. I just think right now he doesn't seem as comfortable as he did toward the end of last year, and I can't answer why. It just looks that way on tape.
I don't think I've ever seen Greg. I think the Broncos might have gotten pressure on Herbert on 60% of his dropbacks, and they lost the game. That never happens.
Their defense is fine. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with their defense. Herbert made some great plays. Obviously, that touchdown to Allen late in the game. Although one of my pet peeves, Ross, has become, it's just we wrap up here. I'm so tired of people saying things like only 5 people in the world can make that play. Come on. There's a lot of quarterbacks out there that can do a lot of really good things, and we just like we have to stop saying a guy's generational. We need to stop using these terms.
Check him out on social media at Greg Cosell. That way everything he's up to, including the NFL Matchup Show, the NFL Films legend. Thank you so much, Greg, again this week. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Ross. Appreciate it.
All right, let's dive into the news. But first, so I'll be in Houston Sunday for the Titans and the Texans. And that's one of the things I love about the Game Time app. I have Houston pulled up, right? So Rice has women's volleyball Friday night. If I wanted to go, my daughters both play volleyball. You can go to that Texans-Titans game I'm going to. Somebody's got to win. $62 is the get-in price on the Game Time app on my phone. Oh my goodness. Friday and Saturday, the Savannah Bananas are going to be in town. That's awesome. People love them. Houston basketball. I actually went to a Houston basketball game last year. Highly encourage you. Just get the Game Time app on your phone. And then the first thing you need to do is put the code Ross in there so you get $20 off your first purchase. Take the guesswork out of buying NFL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code Ross for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. So again, create an account and redeem code ROSS for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. There's a reason why the number one team in my power rankings is presented by Smirnoff every week, because it's the world's number one vodka and an official vodka partner of the NFL. That's what they are. They're number one. They're an award-winning vodka that's been around since 1864. They are all about igniting the collective. We do game days. Highly recommend you grab a bottle of Smirnoff at your local retailer and head to Smirnoff.com to find recipes of delicious cocktails perfect for game day. Please drink responsibly. Smirnoff number 21 vodka, distilled from grain, 40% alcohol by volume. It's the Smirnoff Company, New York, New York. Please do not share with anyone under legal drinking age.
Tuck's Takes.
All right, Ross, it really felt like the Seahawks escaped with a win in that one, beating Arizona 23-20 in the closing seconds.
That was wild, Jack. I mean, you and I were texting back and forth. So, for those of you who didn't check it out, I would say definitely the first half, but really the first three quarters, the Cardinals couldn't do anything on offense. That's number one. Number two, Marvin Harrison Jr. was brutal. Like, so bad that it was hard to watch. It was painful to watch. He had a horrendous drop. He stopped running, which led to an interception. He stopped running his route, which led to an interception. So that was Kyler Murray's 2 interceptions. There was like 3 other passes to him where he and Kyler Murray clearly weren't on the same page. Like, I'm telling you guys, you'll see the highlights or just Google them or whatever, youtube.com/Ross Tucker NFL. It was painful, absolutely painful. The Seahawks just kind of were taking care of business. They were better up front, both sides of the ball, and they were handling their business. It wasn't like flashy from Darnold or from the running game, but they were just better. They were the better team. And then all of a sudden, Marvin Harrison Jr. Makes this incredible touchdown catch with 5 minutes left to make it a 1-score game. By the way, mind you, this was after the Seahawks should have gone up by 3 scores, but Smith-Njigba got called for a hold on the goal line. He said an expletive while the official was calling it, which was hilarious. They ended up having to settle for a field goal to make it a 2-score game. So then, a great deep shot to Smith-Njigba. The Seahawks are going to go back up by 2 scores, but Myers missed it, gives the Cardinals a chance. They go all the way down the field. Kyler, big play after big play. Another one to Harrison Jr., throws it to DeMercado, touchdown, Cardinals tie it. Oh, my gosh. But then their kicker, Ryland, kicks the ball short of the landing zone. So the Seahawks get the ball at the 40. Darnold has a little underneath throw. Then he hits Smith-Njigba on the sidelines. They're right there for a field goal. Myers makes amends, kicks the field goal through the uprights. Next thing you know, 23-20, the Seahawks win. You just cannot make that mistake if you're Ryland in that situation. Absolutely brutal. Saturday sit-down tomorrow will be fantastic. I promise. Do not miss it. Other than that, I think we're done here. Time to finish this episode strong right after this. I did an absolutely epic taste test with Labatt Blue, folks. It was amazing. If that video is not out already, it will be soon. Check it out. It's hilarious and amazing. And then go ahead and buy some Labatt and then get rewarded for it. I love this concept. I don't know who came up with this at Labatt, but it's genius, right? Anytime you buy Labatt or Labatt Blue Light, take the receipt, go to rewards.labattusa.com, upload the receipt, you rack up the points, you can do it on your phone, and then next thing you know, you're getting awesome merch. I told you I got the mini fridge and the cooler backpack. Rewards.labattusa.com.
Thanks for tuning in to the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Make sure to also check out Even Money, Fantasy Feast, and College Draft, all on the DraftKings Network on Samsung TV Plus, YouTube, or subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform.
Shout out myfrontpagestory.com. Got a couple emails recently from people that have taken me up on the offer of getting a signed autograph if they go ahead and get an order for somebody. I love it. myfrontpagestory.com, backofficescheduler.com, humanheadnyc.com, Sporticulture, Pizza Boy Brewing.